We are back now with Governor Ned Lamont once again. And I want to ask you, Governor, today you were at Jackson Labs in Farmington, a relatively new company to Connecticut. What will their role be in trying to stem the spread of coronavirus?
Look, we have some of the greatest life sciences companies in the world right here. So we are taking the lead. Jackson Labs, starting off, they're going to augment our testing by about 150 tests a day. You know, working with Hartford Health, who's coming up next after this. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we did our event talking about other therapies that may be coming along, and we streamed that to the press corps, give you an idea of how our lives are changing as well.
Yeah, Governor, what have we learned from this in terms of what kind of laws would you like to see changed or put into place for perhaps, let's hope it never happens again, but something like this happens again? Is there something that we're lacking in our structure of laws here that that should be changed?
I don't think it's a matter of the laws. You've given me a fair amount of power under the emergency laws, and we're using that. We're using that to make it easier for us to use nursing homes, commandeer facilities, so we can have a field hospital next to an existing hospital, making it easier for us to recruit and keep nurses here. I think the biggest issue we have in a democracy is asking people, urging people to make a little sacrifice now for big payback a little bit down the road. And that's part of what leadership is all about, making people think a little further down.
You know, we have a plan here at Channel 3 to do the news from our homes in the event that one of us should become infected or work with an infected coworker. Have you ever thought about what happens if you should get COVID-19?
Well, I'm working out of the house, 90% of the time. But I got to say, people are come into the residence. We have them clean. We have them swabbed. We do everything we can. If I contracted, I'd be very upfront about it. I'd let people know what was happening, and I'd continue to work as best I can. Remember, Dennis, 80+% of the people, it's like a bad case of the flu. And you'd have to take those 14 days to work through it. I hope I'm not in the other 20%.
We've had some stories, and we have this viewer email that just came in, and I've heard this firsthand by some people too. They're being told by the employer they have to come in, and they're not comfortable going in. Their job is not considered to be essential. What do you tell them?
Well, right now, I'm leaving it up to our commissioners. I'm leaving it up to the local companies to decide who has to come in, but I'm urging them every day. If they can telecommute, if they don't have to be in, if you can get by with only 30% of your people, let the rest be there, rotate them around a little bit. And I hope bosses are doing the right thing in the public and the private sector. If not, we're going to have to enforce it a little more strictly.
As you know, so many things have been canceled, parades and proms and dances and things like this and fundraisers. But what about big things like graduations? We've had some students who've reached out and said, you know, I spent 4 years of tuition. I worked really, really hard, and I'm never going to have that ceremony. We understand why it cannot be held in May. But would you recommend that these universities and even UConn perhaps reschedule for a different time when this is all over, that they should still be able to walk down in their cap and gown and get their diploma?
I think I'd leave that up to UConn. I can understand the pomp and majesty of doing that. I'm afraid it probably won't happen in June, but I'd like to see if they want to do it at a later time. Look, we are going to get back to normal. You see the good news coming in from Asia, which let's say has a 3-month head start. I think we're going to power through this. We're going to learn a lot from it, and our lives are going to come back. And you'll be able to have that graduation just at a later time.
I want to talk about another economic issue here, and that is that, you know, we've certainly seen that Aer Lingus has cut back flights out of Hartford now. There's a hotel in downtown Hartford that's already announced is closing. Businesses are closing. What do you believe that unemployment will be like in 2 months in Connecticut right now? I know we had 10,000 applications for unemployment in one day alone.
During the last recession, you had maybe 5,000 job claims a week. Then we had 12,000 yesterday or the day before. I care desperately about those people. I care desperately about small business, keeping them going, doing everything I can in terms of public health. You can ask Murphy and Blumenthal. I care a little less about bailing out the shareholders of big companies. You mentioned airlines. Look, they took $50 billion in tax cuts and used it to buy back stock. I want to keep airlines going, but I want to be careful about who you bail out.
You know, as a former business leader, you used to, run a company, obviously. What's your advice to some of these people in terms of managing the next few weeks? Because it's a difficult time. Some have to lay off. Is there any inside business knowledge that you would give to them tonight?
Look, I went through this back in 08, 09. I had a telecommunications company. It was, a mid-sized company. And I had to look everybody in the eye and I said, we're going to keep this shop going. I'm going to do everything I can. I work with the banks. I had to defer that. I work with the utilities, try and defer that. I paid people as best we could. Some took a little bit of a cut. I certainly did. And we powered through it together. But you got to remind people you're part of a family, you're part of a team, and if we stick together, we win together.
Your executive order shutting down certain businesses in terms of, in terms of gyms and package stores. I know we have some viewers writing in about that right now. Is there any guesstimate as to when they will be allowed to reopen?
Again, it won't be in 2 weeks, I don't think. I think it'll take longer than that. Even barbershops are closed. We're all going to look like the Beatles in a couple of months.
You can grow that mullet back you used to have.
So we'll see what happens. I apologize. I'm sorry about the inconvenience, but I think 90% of the people in Connecticut understand why we're doing it.
Let's talk a little bit about the regional approach, because you've been working with the governors of New Jersey and
New York.
New York, and also Rhode Island. I know you had a conversation with Governor Armando. How is that working in terms of, like, is there anything from those 3 states that you would like to implement here?
No, we're doing everything sort of in conjunction right now. What good does it do me to close a bar if all you got to do is drive across the county to Westchester County and vice versa? So I think the governor's been very thoughtful about taking this one step at a time. And I hope it's the beginning of how we continue to grow our regional relationship. We're a relatively small state, so the more I do in conjunction, whether it's, transportation or the coronavirus, with my fellow governors, the better. We've gotten to know each other very well.
Governor Ned Lamont, we thank you so much for being with us here today. We'll do a little elbow greeting, and we measured this out. This is a safe distance. We are practicing safe distancing, they're calling it, right?
Right.
Social distancing, that's the official term.
We're going to get through this, everybody. We're going to get through it.
We're all in this together. Governor Lamont, we appreciate
you,
really, from the bottom of our hearts, thanks for coming in tonight and helping our viewers tonight.